Hello and welcome back to Obas Trending Gist. Today we are diving into a truly impactful discussion from Arise News The Morning Show. We will be looking at a snippet from their newspaper review and heated debate that unfolded between Rufai Oseni, Ayomairo Ese, Dr. Ruben Abati, and Minister Yusuf Tuggar. The central point of contention, the persistent claim of Christian genocide in Nigeria. I am here to give you my critical take on this and why understanding the true nature of the crisis is crucial. Is it truly a genocide, or are we facing a complex web of insecurity affecting all regardless of faith? Let us get right into it. Sit back and take a watch.
Good morning, Adufemi.
Good morning, Dr. Ruben. Good morning, Ayon. Good morning, Rufai. How's everybody?
Good morning, yeah.
All righty, good morning to you viewers. Let me tell you what's happening around the world. Well, we begin today's World Brief with a social media showdown. That is as Nigeria's Foreign Minister, Yusuf Tuggar, fired off a post on X calling for his full interview with broadcaster Piers to be released unedited. Now, in his first post, Tuggar said that my explanations, supported by verifiable data, may not have conformed to certain preconceived views. However, for the sake of integrity and transparency, it is essential that the full interview be aired exactly as recorded without edits or selective omissions. Now, in response to that, Piers did respond by telling Tuggar that he seemed to be panicking. Foreign Minister, that's what he said on X, that we will air your comments in full. The show is called Uncensored for a reason, and whether people believe what you said remains to be seen. Now, in response to that, Tuggar said that he was, as you can see, cool as a cucumber, Mr. Morgan, and he says if he wasn't more equitable, he would say that you were flattering yourself, but I won't. Just want to make sure you don't edit out the parts where you kept referring to the Chibok boys. Well researched. Well, clearly it's Chibok girls and not boys. So we are still waiting for this interview to be released. Morgan did confirm that the broadcast is coming. The air date remains unconfirmed as yet. But the spat does center on allegations of Christian persecution in Nigeria, which Tuggar and the Nigerian government have rejected. They've called those allegations dangerous and a single linear narrative. Can't wait to hear your thoughts.
Okay, see. And I'll repeat this as many times I can to drum it into the ears of everybody. I will scream it on the mountaintop. There is Christian genocide in Nigeria. No matter how government officials try to go and skew narrative on Piers Morgan, and Tuggar was talking about, Piers Morgan was talking Chibok boys. Yeah, that could have been a slip, or Piers didn't do his research. That's between him and Piers. There is Christian genocide. Femi, I was reading an APPG report overnight around 1 a.m. this morning, where Jim Shannon, as at 3-4 years ago, sent out a report in the British Parliament about Christian genocide. In fact, as at then, they said about 80% of the killings of Christians in the world was happening in Nigeria. 2020 report. I can share that report with you. Maybe you can bring it. It was published a couple of years ago. Whatever the narrative they want to spin, but please, they should remember, people are being killed. And for every blood that is shed that we do not account for, God will ask us one way or the other. I know the politics. Oh, we don't want a case where America will stop aid because, you know, we're already in dire straits. Look at us already on the hunger list for the world. All of those things are because aid stopped. USAID, those monies and all of that, because these are the things they used to give nutritional supplements to kids in poor areas. In fact, Rufus was showing a report this morning about how somebody wrote that the way to attack Christian kids is removing aid from America. And I think that report is right. And that's why we beg the likes of, you know, Trump to please stop this, you know, attempt to be able to remove aid and USAID. And that's why when some people were carrying propaganda, Russian talking points anyway, that USAID was being used to form Boko Haram. That period, I said, please, let's stop lying. We don't have facts. They said, oh, an American lawmaker. I said, let's stop lying. Let's stop carrying propaganda, because this money actually helped. Because I've also prevailed on many of these international donor agencies. And when they pick my brain and say, Rufai, but we're pumping in a lot of aid, and we see how your politicians are living the lavish life. And I beg them and I say, please, do not look at the lifestyle of our politicians. Look at the very poor people that are amongst us that are suffering as regards this. So let us do what is right so that society will be a whole lot better. But let's stop deceiving ourselves. Are Muslims being killed? Yes. Is there Christian genocide? Yes. If you want to plot the narrative, two truths can exist. Because God will ask us if we speak the truth or not. Let's be realistic. Let's not say because we want to talk government talking points. God will ask us and God will judge us.
All right. A quick comment on, I think, just to say that I don't think it was a good move for Minister Yusuf Tuggar to have gone on Piers Morgan's platform, especially if you know the style of Piers Morgan and then also where he stands. He's British conservative. He's very brute. If we cannot handle the heat, don't go into the kitchen. He's a troll. He's a very formal. He's a troll. You should see what he's doing to Meghan and Prince Harry, and he doesn't stop. It's not like the Nigerian press or other press. I mean, look at it with due respect to the Nigerian press, but he doesn't stop, and then he has a huge following on social media. People who are just as can be very right-wing as he is. So I don't know what informed his choice of going on his platform, and then now engaging in a war of words with him. I don't think he would win that fight. So just find a way to color it, because Piers is not someone that you want to be engaging in that kind of verbal fight.
They should air the issue. Let's actually see who actually had the better outing.
Let's air it. But I think in our efforts in diplomatic conversations and dialogue, you want to be careful of the platform that you appear on. I recall that Rufai, you had given them some options as to where to go to and discuss and present your facts. I don't know. But let's see what happens.
I don't find anything wrong with going on Piers Morgan show. It's a
No. I think if you want to go on a platform like that, you have to go ready with your facts. But let's see the interview. But what has already happened in terms of their war of words already doesn't look very good, and I don't think it's going to win that on social media. That's what I'm saying. I don't think if you're not able to handle it.
He wanted it to be aired
if he's equal to the task, great. But Piers Morgan, I'm calling it right now that I don't see this ending well, and I don't know why he chose that. But very quickly, in terms of the hunger reports, this administration when it started, was very big on ending or reducing poverty. In fact, the Tinubu administration had gotten loan from the World Bank in order to fight this, through the humanitarian and poverty reduction ministry. So it's quite unfortunate to now see us designated as a country of concern at the risk of famine because of the hunger levels in the country. And I think it's just an opportunity for this government to look into some of the challenges of hunger. And we've talked about safety nets. We talked about the economic reforms and its effect on the people. So let us look at we talk about providing seeds, interventions, safety nets, direct impact of food for children, young people, women, mothers, especially in rural areas. It also has an impact on insecurity, because we say that where poverty exists, it's an incentive for crime. It's not a justification, but it makes crime more attractive. And so this is something that I hope that this administration will take, not just wish it away or speak it away, but actually address the issue.
Okay, let's talk journalism first, because two of the subjects relate to journalism. The first is the Piers Morgan uncensored interview, which Minister Yusuf Tuggar has been very concerned about. And he is saying that, look, he wants whatever he said on that program to be broadcast uncensored. After all, the name of Piers Morgan's program is Piers Morgan Uncensored. And his concern is about the fact that there is the danger of the single story out there, a mindset within the Western media, and even here, perhaps in some sections, that there is Christian genocide in Nigeria. And he said he provides factual, balanced, verifiable data that he wants out there for people to get to hear. And Piers Morgan was also right to say, well, after all, this program is called Uncensored. However, we have no control over what people who listen to you will believe. I think we should wait to see what is published eventually before we jump to any conclusions. But as for Minister Tuggar choosing to go on Piers Morgan as a broadcaster is a very big brand.
Platform, yes.
His platform is a very popular brand. We have an audience of Nigerians and of the international community in the UK that would like to hear the Nigerian story. So in terms of choosing the audience, there is nothing wrong in what they have done. What Minister Tuggar will probably do will be to choose a multiplicity of audiences. After all, he was in Germany also, where he spoke, and now he has gone to the UK. There'll be other persons managing the media for the presidency that will put out that story. Now, we have two strands of stories out there. Those who say there is Christian genocide, and those who say both Christians and Muslims are being persecuted in Nigeria in terms of, security, violence, and all of that. But the residual point we keep saying is that the Nigerian government needs to do a lot more, needs to seek the cooperation with other stakeholders that he talks about to make sure that this environment is safe. Every other thing beyond that is just rhetoric. Now, that's that about that. The other leg of the Tuggar, Piers Morgan thing is that it's about professionalism. Now, personally, I don't like people telling me as a journalist how to treat your copy. As editorial page editor, chairman, editorial board, you don't come and tell me how to treat your copy. I take the decision how I want to treat your copy. However, we are guided by ethics. We have to be fair, we have to be balanced, we have to be accurate. But as government spokesperson, I always advise people, it's better for you to go on a live program like this Arise News. You are talking to people, everybody is hearing you. When you do a recorded interview, you may not have control over it because there will be a lot of editing in the background, and the company has an editorial ideology. Many people do not know this. So the media house, we choose its own emphasis. We choose what we sell because the media is also business. So I always advise people, as much as possible, avoid recorded interviews. Just speak direct to the people. And that's why we encourage people to come here. Now, the next thing, which is also about media, is Donald Trump saying that he was misrepresented. Now, BBC, they first aired Newsnight, the January 6, 2021 statement by President Trump. Now, a week to the November 2024 election, they went on another program called Panorama. And then what they presented there was different. They gave the impression, this is the substance of the matter, that President Trump was the one who incited people. So what they did was they spliced parts of the interview. They took one part, they attached it to the other to create an impression. And that's why Trump says he's been misrepresented, he's been defamed. Now, that again is a statement for journalists, for editors, about responsibility of the media. Now the Director General of the BBC has had to resign. The BBC Director of News, Deborah, has had to resign, even if she says she believes that, the BBC is not institutionally biased. And then, of course, the BBC chairman had to write a personal letter to Trump to apologize.
Indeed.
This is all within the province of responsible media, occupational hazard. These things happen, but journalists have to do their work. But BBC is saying Trump was not defamed. There may have been editorial issues, editing problems, but that there was no intention to defame him. Trump's lawyers are asking for $1 billion.
We'll see.
As for hunger, major problem in the world. But it's linked to violence, it's linked to insecurity. If you look at all the countries on the list by World Food Program and
Palestine,
and
Sudan,
FAO, Syria, Afghanistan, Sudan, South Sudan, Syria, Yemen, Bangladesh. These are countries that have issues in terms of violence and insecurity. But the one that concerns us is that Nigeria has been listed as a country of very high concern. They have just asked for 1.5 billion naira, which is about $1 billion. That money should be used to fund agriculture, to address insecurity, to make sure that farmers can go to farm, to make sure that food can be put on the table of every Nigerian. And the international community should provide funding for humanitarian aid. World Food Program is saying there's a shortfall in terms of funding.
All right, that was quite the exchange on Arise News. We saw Adefemi set the stage with newspaper headlines, including social media showdown between Nigeria's Foreign Minister Yusuf, Tuggar, and broadcaster Piers Morgan over Christian genocide claims. Then the discussion shifted to Nigeria and Mali being flagged as hunger hotspots by the United Nations, and the BBC's apology to Donald Trump over misleading edits. But what really stood out was the panel's conversation, especially Rufai's unwavering insistence on Christian genocide in Nigeria. He was very passionate, reiterating his claim multiple times, even referring to a British Parliament report from years ago that spoke about killings of Christians globally, with a significant percentage in Nigeria. Ayo, on the other hand, cautioned against Minister Tuggar appearing on Piers Morgan's platform, calling Morgan a troll and warning against engaging in a verbal fight with him, suggesting it wouldn't end well for Nigeria. Dr. Abati then brought in the journalistic perspective, arguing that while Minister Tuggar had the right to present Nigeria's story on any platform, media houses ultimately control the narrative through editing and emphasizing. Citing the BBC Trump incident as an example, he also stressed the importance of addressing the underlying issues like hunger and insecurity. Now, let's talk about the Christian genocide claim. As a Christian myself, and as someone living in Nigeria, I understand the pain and fear that many people, both Christians and Muslims, experience due to violence. However, I fundamentally disagree with categorizing the situation as Christian genocide. That is my personal view. You have your own. To understand why, let us define what genocide truly means. The United Nations Convention on the Prevention and the Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, adopted in 1948, defines genocide as any of the following acts committed with intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group as such, killing members of the group, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group, deliberately inflicting on the group's condition of life calculated to bringing about its physical destruction, in whole or in part, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group, and forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. The key phrase here is intent to destroy a religious group as such. So while Christians have undoubtedly suffered greatly, the violence in Nigeria is a complex issue of widespread insecurity fueled by banditry, kidnapping, tribal clashes, farmer-herder conflicts, and economic hardship. This violence affects everyone across the board. Christians are killed and Muslims are killed. People are attacked irrespective of their faith. To label it specifically as Christian genocide overlooks the suffering of Muslim communities and misrepresents the primary drivers of conflict, which are often economic and land-related or criminal rather than systematic, state-sponsored or widely organized campaign to exterminate Christians. It is particularly striking to observe Rufai's shift. For a long time, he was a staunch advocate for recognizing the broad insecurity plaguing Nigeria, calling for accountability across board. Now, he seems to have narrowed his focus on Christian genocide, which, while highlighting a painful aspect of the crisis, might unintentionally obscure the full picture and complicate efforts for comprehensive solutions that address the suffering of all Nigerians. We need to be careful not to fall into the trap of a single story, as Dr. Abati warned, especially when dealing with such sensitive issues that require nuanced understanding and collective action. The situation in Nigeria demands urgent attention, but it also demands accuracy in its description, calling it a Christian genocide when the reality is a multifaceted crisis of insecurity affecting millions of lives. Both Christians and Muslims can divert focus from the real solution needed. We need to address poverty, governance, resource conflicts, and criminal elements that breed this widespread violence. So, what are your thoughts, Gist Fam? Do you agree that the narrative should remain focused on general insecurity rather than specific religious genocide? Share your comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Obas Trending Gist for more critical analysis, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.